a museum, walking museum. That was her blessing she got. And then a year or a few years after that, a museum started. So you're looking at a blessing, walking museum. And then we have my good friend, Dr. Nikhil Patel. When I go to India, I just go into his office. He's a psychiatrist, but I don't go for treatment. Maybe I should, but I don't. And we sit, Santosh and I sit in his office, and oh my goodness, we really help him to play, because he just calms down, no patience. And the patients are outside, running around, looking through the window, wide-eyed, and he is calm. And Vishal, the director of Soul Search, he's like a son to me. He calls me Ma. Gita Ma, he calls me. And it sounds so good when he says it, because it comes from here, from heart. So you're going to hear 3 speakers in 3 different worlds, sharing very, very insightful things. And I know you will enjoy. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Do forgive me, the Babu. Sebabu. And he's from Ethiopia. So he's the one that has offered you that delicious coffee. I just learned something about coffee. Contrary to what they say, coffee does not do to you what they say it does. Yeah? He will tell you. So, pleasure and thank you so much. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Here is my friend Sal. Okay.
Hi, my name is Tababu Asafa. I'm here today because Sister Jana asked me to come. I'll tell you what kind of pressure she did on me. One time we were doing a coffee ceremony at a market. It was a busy day. We had a booth. People were coming. I'm talking to them. I usually spend 2-3 minutes to tell them what I'm doing, because there are a lot of people coming and going. And right in the middle of all this confusion, she was across the street and had their own booth. And she walked gracefully to me, very at peace. And she captivated my spirit. And before I knew it, I was locked in her mind and heart. And I was talking to her, I was listening to her, I forgot where I was. a good 20-15 minutes.
It was like coffee.
Nothing happened. And that captivated me. And then I was intrigued by that spirit. It calmed me down. And I wanted to see the meditation center. And every time I'm in this place, I feel calm. And today when she says, bring coffee, even though coffee and meditation might not get along in the very essence, I said I will. So that is the story I'll tell you. I'll leave you why Blessed Coffee. I'll share a little story why Blessed Coffee. I grew up aspiring to be a filmmaker, a storyteller, because people of the world don't know very little about each other, and they communicate from their ignorant, not enlightenment. They have their biases, and they form ideas based on third-party information. And most of the crisis that we have in the global world is because we're not connecting at a human level. At the end of the day, wherever we come from, we're all one spirit. And so as a child, I thought it was an opportunity. There is an opportunity to be a storyteller, a cultural promoter. And in that journey, I made the coffee farmers. And I was really my heart was broken when I saw hard-working farmers in the mountains of Ethiopia working from sunrise to sundown on this beautiful coffee that we all enjoy. They work hard. They live in a Garden of Eden. The place they live at is so blue sky, green lavish vegetation, and great fertile soil. They're working hard, yet they cannot even feed their children a decent meal. And I asked why, because I live in America. I know how much money we pay for a pound of coffee. And when I looked into it, I was really, for lack of a better word, I was offended by the international market system that locks hard-working, humble, beautiful people and poverty. When I looked at it, the farmers should do 90% of the work for the lovely coffee that we enjoy, only get 1% of the money we consumers pay on this side. And I thought that was very offensive. And my first reaction was to be angry, but that word that says, don't curse the darkness, like a candle, came to me. And then I said, my neighbors are good human beings. Why don't I connect the farmers with the consumer and give both an opportunity to own the venture and share the profit and invest in the venture. For the last 13 years, my wife and I and my 2 kids have been building this idea called Blessed Coffee. Today, humbly, many people love it, many people support it, and it's a meditation in life. Meditation is every act is a meditation, as far as I'm concerned. If our energy is focused and dedicated to do good, our soul will be calm, and our purpose will be defined and beautiful. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for enjoying my
Without further ado, let's have them. Your hands up for Sister Jenna, Bishar, and Dr. I've been to many cafes, but this is one of the most spiritual cafes I've ever stepped my feet to. You say the same? Yes. Wow.
Did you like the space?
Feel the vibrations?
We changed it around.
Okay. About the what? Oh yes, you're having actually vegan muffins for those who can't eat dairy. But I do have some dairy whipped cream for those who want to. Yeah? So just put your hands up if you want the spreadly man. And Narcisa is the one that made those muffins.
Yay.
And they're made with a lot of love. Hands up. Hands together for her. That's Narcisa in the back.
Narcisa cakes.
Oblivious of her praise. Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you so
I
much,
hope you
Sister
have a
Eva.
very wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thanks. So very warm welcome to each and every one of you, and welcome to the soft launch and the first conversation under our new initiative called Karma Kafe Conversations. Yay! How many of you are here for the very first time? Hands up. Oh, welcome. So, we've been here for about 5 years now, and of course we were told that the building's going to get demolished in a year or two, so we're looking for a space. But the vibrations that have been created in the Meditation Museum, I hope that you were able to not only bask in it when you entered, but as they say, we find our identity in a community, but we also put our identity in the community so we can sustain it. So I hope that while you're here, you'll be able to put the peace and the power and the appreciation in which we offer our community free of charge, all of our activities. On an annual basis, I think we cover about 200 programs per year, which is a lot of activities. Whether it's inside of the museum or outside, at times even more, yeah. This is a moving experience, and I think what the Brahma Kumaris has offered our understanding in our spiritual journey is that you don't need to go away to the Himalayas and on the top of a mountain to make a change. I think the concrete jungle needs a lot of saints who want to bring these treasures into it so that it can change the concrete jungle and make it into a garden or a paradise. So it is a very active form of spirituality, and for the last 78 years, the organization has quietly been moving mountains by offering meditation and spiritual classes on who am I, our connection to a higher source, are you aware of how your actions are actually shaping your destiny. So a lot of the students actually support the museum, and that's why we're able to stay open. but of course I'm sure that you've seen the contribution box also at the entrance. I'm going to actually pass the conversation over to my two wonderful brothers. I feel like a cookie. And I'm the chocolate cream. And it's like double chocolate cookie. And it's not a surprise that I've got two of the most beautiful souls from the headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris and from Mount Abu, India, with us tonight. And more than anything else, these two brothers who come from two different backgrounds had a very deep relationship with our mentor, the sculpture on the right of Dadi Prakashmani, who I will talk a little bit more about her because of her. 14 years later, we are here launching the 14th initiative in the nation's capital. So I'm going to pass it on to Brother Nikhil. And Brother Nikhil is head of psychiatry at the W. Wadamul Global Hospital and Research Center. Thank you.
Always there.
You know, we have hospitals called like Sibley here, or Holy Cross. They're really easy to interpret, you know. And so he has been there for many, many years, and I'm not quite sure if you know the data of how many psychiatrists are actually in the country of India. It's a little bit over 3,000. So if that blows your mind a little bit, I'd like you to sort of interpret the sort of a workload that he's got under his belt. And when he comes to Washington, D.C., he comes to really not only be of service, but to really just squeeze out, you know, and offer just the best of himself without a pressure or deadline. So we have a lot of gifts with us, and I would like for him to share maybe his personal experience of his relationship with Dadi Prakashmani and how that has grown him. And how many years in spirituality? It's been over 30 now, correct?
About 40.
About 40 years. So that means you came to meditation when you were 1 year old?
1 plus 9.
1 plus 9. Okay. So I'd like to offer you Dr. Nikhil Patel.
Thank you, Sister Gina. You always forget to introduce me, a permanent resident of the United States. And probably you still have forgotten to realize that I have been a permanent resident of the United States of America for the last 7 years. And believe me, every year I come here, I embrace Americanism and true core Americanism from my heart.
Yay, very good.
And I promise you, I'm going to make frequent visits now on, not just once in a year, twice in a year.
I'm so fortunate.
And this initiative of Karma Kafe that she has started would hopefully continue until I come twice in a year, and next year, and maybe 2016, and so on. Not taking much time into this deliberation about my being here, let's go over to the headquarters, the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University, Mount Abu, where I give my charity services. I'm there for the last 20 years. And my journey started when I was a child, 9-10-year-old child, living in a town of Gujarat state near Ahmedabad, which is about 5 hours journey from Mount Abu. Mount Abu is located in western part of India. Dadi Prakashmani then was the head of the institution. And it's impossible to describe her personality, let me tell you. As a psychiatrist, for me, although I can describe personalities of anybody, And we are specialized to describe the abnormal personalities rather than normal personalities. But she was an exceptional personality who had a supernormal personality. We sometimes discuss in our psychiatric conferences, that we are trained to diagnose personality disorders, abnormal personalities, but we are not trained to improve someone's personality and make it supernormal. And she was an exceptional lady with supernormal personality traits. Now, what touched me since I started visiting headquarters was very gentle, unconditional, acceptance, warmth, and unassuming. She was an embodiment of a selfless, unassuming love, vibrating throughout all her activities. Now, I give an example, so touching. I remember then I was studying in medicine in a medical college, and we had a 1 week vacation, I guess, during monsoon time, and we had intense meditation programs there in headquarters. They are so special, intense meditation programs. Everyone would like to attend to those programs. And I recollect, those were the days of rains, and it was raining, it was pouring like anything. On one hand, there were intense meditation sessions going on. On the other hand, it was pouring. Rainfall was heavy. And it so happened, I was going into the courtyard. I was entering into the courtyard. Famous courtyard. This is such a beautiful courtyard of international headquarters, wherein if you pass through, you'll be tempted to sit down there for 24 hours at a stretch. Such a relaxing environment there. And it so happened that it was pouring, it was raining, and I didn't have an umbrella. And she was standing right in front of her office. Although she didn't know me, I guess then, because I was a boy studying medicine, and she had to attend to so many visitors, thousands of visitors every day. I was passing by, and she said, "Why don't you use umbrella? Come on. Come." Now, the head of the institution, an administrative head, calling you, offering you her umbrella, I mean, incredible. So, Dadi was not just administrative head of the institution. She was like a father figure. She was like a mother. And a few more interesting stories, if I tell you, you will start laughing. It so happened that I was in the last year of my medicine, and my pull towards spirituality was much more than pull towards medicine. So what happened, just before a month of my final exams, I went to the headquarters just to have a relaxation, just to have a change, and without any prior intimation. And she came to know about it. There is a custom, there is a very pleasant custom there to meet Dadi, whosoever goes as a guest or a visitor or a well-wisher or a family. And then I went to see her the next day morning. And before I could say something, she had an information that I'm due for the exams, final exams, and I have come here to recuperate or to relax, which was not desirable, in any case. Otherwise, I would have failed, She very gently told me, very lovingly, as he was saying, her presence is so captivating, she captivates you so. So Dadi was a master captivator, and she captivated my soul and spirit. And she said, "You have an exam, right? And you are here, right? Why don't you finish your exams and then come back? Come back permanently here." I said, "Yes, Dadi, I'll do that. And we had a very senior brother who was with me, who was accompanying me from that center. And very graciously, she told that senior brother to accompany me the next day by train. I went back to Surat, which is near Mumbai, near Bombay. Anyway, to cut short the stories, Dadi ji, you probably cannot describe her personality. She was a master orator, she was a perfect administrator, she was a nurturer, a mentor, a teacher, and a friend. Nobody would be hesitant or guarded to make a visit to her. She was so open and she was so transparent, and so loving. So that was Dadi.
Thank you. Did you pass the exam? Did you pass the exam?
Had I not passed, then I
I
would
just
have
want
not.
to make sure. So now I would like to introduce you to. Now I'd like to introduce you to Vishal Hirskar, who also is one of the brothers out of 3 in Mount Abu, India, who specializes in filmmaking. And they've released a new movie called, well actually it's not new anymore, but it's called Time Is Now. We had a production here about 1.5 years or 2 years ago, and the good news is that it will start to go online for live streaming, so you'll be able to actually purchase copies of the movie. They traveled to approximately 14 countries around the world and filmed this movie about the horrors of human beings upon human beings, but also how human beings can find the courage to forgive human beings for hurting them. And so that actually transformed not only his life personally as a meditator and the filmmaker and the journey with his brother. And now he's working on a new project here in America. And I wanted him to share his spiritual journey, but also his experience with Dadi Prakashmani and how that has shaped his life just this one moment.
Thank you very much, Sister Jenna, for this beautiful introduction, and welcome you all. It feels great. How do you feel? The first session of the Karma Cafe conversation. I hope the conversation is interesting. So far, so good. Yeah, so yes, I'm a filmmaker, and the time is now. Just a few months back, the time is now got a theatrical release all over America. We had a limited release, but the film released from California to New York in about 8 states, and we were reviewed by the New York Times, and over 200 publications all over America did a story on us. So that's a little bit about the film. And very soon the film will be out on DVDs, Blu-rays, online platforms, and overseas also. So keep an eye on it, and the movie website is called thetimeisnowmovie.com. So you can log on to that website and you can get all the latest information about that. Now coming back to Dadi Prakashmani. Where do I start and how do I start? Talking about Dadi Prakashmani is like I taking a candle in my hand and going toward the sun to show the sun, see how bright my candle is. That's the best I can say about Dadi Prakashmani's personality. But yes, we were like kids, seriously, such kids, And as much time, we've been with the Brahma Kumaris over 22 years now, and almost 20 years in the international headquarters. And since that time, because we were kids, Dadi Prakashmani, not many of you know, but her name is Kumarka. Kumarka is a Hindi name. Kumar means a young guy, a young boy. Ka means of. So we call her the Dadi of young boys. You see? So that was a kind of connection, the relation that we used to share with Dadi Prakashmani, because I'm just over here, but my 2 brothers were here, and they left just a few weeks back to India, and we 3 shared a very, very special relationship with Dadi Prakashmani. Because she really loves young boys, She really loves young boys. She likes to hear their stories. She likes to know what they're doing. She likes to know the progress, and the other side also. So it was like always a personal connection, and we felt that, there is someone to hear us. Forget about all the other things of the development and the good things that you share with someone. But just when you want to share something and you have someone, you know, like the old grandma that's there in the house, I wouldn't call her the old grandma, but she was much, much more than that, much, much more than that. And the best feature that I really loved about Dadi Prakashmani is she was ever present. Ever, ever present. If she is in a gathering of, say, 1,000 people, I bet you each and every person out of those 1,000 people feels that Dadi over there is sitting just for me, just to listen to me, and I'm having a personal one-on-one with her. Imagine a personality sharing 1,000 souls, 1,000 thoughts at one time, simultaneously. That was the charisma of Dadi Prakashmani. Whenever she had this ability, if suppose you have a problem and you're going to her and sharing the problem, she would give you the solution. You would be out of that problem without you even knowing that, oh my God, I was in a problem. That was the magic of Dadi Prakashmani's personality. That was the magnetic field that she used to carry around her. And this is not something which I'm just saying. This is very physical. This is very literal, what I'm saying. And her intellect was so sharp. I'll give you a small example, you know. We're three brothers, and generally we're filmmakers. We travel a lot. We've been very fortunate that we got an opportunity to be in a profession that allows us to see the world, meet up with people, do lots of exciting things. She knows about them, and you know, all these things. So whenever we go, we leave the headquarters, we go and take the blessings. Like, you know, you go, take the blessings from Dadi, so that the good wishes are there. We feel that it's a protection for us. It's a canopy that you know, will be guarded continuously on our journey. And every time she used to give us the blessings, and the system is that whenever you take the blessing, you are given a sweet or a fruit, like, you know, something to take with you, right? Every time we used to go, with three brothers are there, but she would give just 2 pieces of whatever she has to give. She would never give us 3 pieces. May it be a fruit, may it be a chocolate, may it be something, but it's only 2. And her assistant, her name is Sister Mohini, her assistant, she used to observe this thing continuously, consistently, since so many years. And one fine day, we were like, I think we were going somewhere in Africa, I guess. And she said that, you know, Dadi, I've seen this thing and it's been consistent. You have been giving them just 2 pieces of whatever you give and not 3 pieces. I'm sorry, but I'm very tempted and I just can't hold it anymore. So I need to ask you right now, what is the reason? And Dadi very graciously, she said, you know the reason I give them 2 pieces is, these are 3 brothers. It's very difficult to make three shares of something that is just 2. And they will have to work hard on sharing equal pieces so that sanskar, that ability to share, would be so natural in them just with the act of sharing these 2 pieces that they will never ever get separated from each other. That's the sense of unity that her intellect had within her, that projected in that act of hers for us. And touch wood, it's been over 20 years we 3 brothers have been together doing international projects. This film that we did it won 4 major international awards, festival awards, and all awards, mind you, were for the best international documentary feature. So that was another very good thing. So this kind of sanskar, you know, it's been developed. So that was the way Dadi Prakashmani used to, you know, handle things and provide their solutions by her simplicity, by her intellect, by her knowledge, without even showing the person that, yes, I'm helping you. How many of us really try to help people without them knowing that I'm helping you? That's greatness to its pinnacle. Selflessness to its pinnacle, without even letting the person know that I'm helping you. And the person just goes out completely fulfilled, completely happy. So this is one of the experiences. There are many, many, many more experiences that we have. And if I start sharing all these experiences, Karma Cafe would have to be for 24 hours again. So I think we should just let the evening proceed, and thank you so much for hearing me out, and it's been wonderful. Thanks.
I think many of us have had stories of folks that we've been brought up with. They've come and they've gone. Some of us have religious leaders that we have followed throughout time, thousands of years. There are stories left behind of a particular person whose footsteps made such an impact in the lives of folks that it just can't stop the storytelling. And our minds tend to go to the story of the person's actions, and they give us some sense of hope and some sense of goodness to be better people. And I think very few of us actually have living examples of that in our lives. I mean, apart from our mothers and our fathers and our grandmothers, but outside of that unit where we do have those support systems, to have a spiritual personality like Dadi Prakashmani was a big gift, I know, for me. And in essence, I first met her when I went to the mountaintop in my torn-up jeans, makeup, and earrings. And walking into the courtyard that Nikhil Bhai spoke about, and she was sitting on a chair eating a raw piece of coconut. And I didn't really know who she was, you know, but she just went, welcome. And I go, yeah, such a long drive, 3 hours. And makeup, torn-up jeans, haven't taken a shower, been traveling for 2 days, and I'm with this beautiful spirit, okay? And she's very humble. And she goes, what's your name, Jenna? My mother is so-and-so, my dad is so-and-so, they come here a lot. Okay, very nice. And then she gives me this piece of coconut. And I go, okay, raw coconut, thank you. And then I took a bite of it and I started to chew it. And within 5 minutes, I left my body. The consciousness of the trip, this, that, I felt just light was circling around me. And I remember turning, that's some coconut. She just looked at me blank, like, what is she talking about? But I knew what I was feeling, and actually that was when my relationship began with her. And I stayed a month at the headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris, and I remember leaving, and I went to say goodbye to her because she had such an impact on me. And I had such respect for my elders that I was so emotional, I didn't even want to break down crying unless I got her permission. Can you believe it? An American kid? That's like almost impossible, right? And I remember just saying, I just feel like I don't need to leave here. I think this is it for me. And I just feel so emotional, like I want to cry. And she said, it's okay. You can cry. You're going out to serve, and you'll come back. And a basket came out, like just a bucket. And so I left the mountaintop that day, just feeling that my life wasn't going to be the same, and it wasn't at that point. It never was. So in 1999, on June 10th, I heard the good news that she knew that I was sent to open up the center in Washington, and she put it on her bill or on her program that she wanted to come to Washington. So by that time, I had gotten the cathedral, Capitol Hill, and where else was it? The National Press Club to welcome Dadi Prakashmani in the nation's capital. But she had just had surgery and she wasn't so well, so I was told by my headquarters cancel them and only do one program. So of course I'm young and arrogant. What? What are you talking about, you know? But I ended up using the program at the National Press Club. And that was where the magic started. Where I was supposed to have her for a day or so, I only had her for less than 24 hours. And we went to the press club, we had a beautiful event, it was called Reverence for Peace. And do you all remember Mayor Anthony Williams? He did a lot of good for DC. It was his office that actually offered, presented a proclamation called the Dadi Prakashmani Day on June 10th. And from that point on, Brother David, is Brother David here? Is he not here? It was Brother David that actually presented the proclamation to Dadi Prakashmani. Many of you have been to some of his workshops or activities. And David and I every year for some reason met to do something on June 10th. So since that point, inspirations have come from 4 o'clock in the morning, early in the morning. There was a vision that would come, do this, and then it would slip away. How? Don't worry, do it. How? Do it. The vision would come, and the vision would go. And we've had programs where we planted, we have, why don't I just show you? To your right, well that was on June 10th, 1999 at the National Press Club. And that was Klaus Nobel from the Nobel Peace Prize, and Lexi Potemkin Brockway, who was Miss World 1979, I believe. And that was Dadi Prakashmani there on the left. And they were meeting with her next. And that was where it all began, when she came. And there was something about Dadi when she walked into the room. She acknowledged everyone in the room in silence. And she just greeted everyone through her eyes. And the main aspect of her speech was, let go of I, me, and mine, and there will be no more conflict. Next. So on June 10th, 2000, we worked with the architect of the Capitol and a few members of the Hill to plant a peace tree, which, next, which is called the Dadi Prakashmani peace tree, next. And you might go by there, by the Capitol, and you'll actually get a chance to see the Dadi Prakashmani peace tree that is right at the north part of the Capitol. As soon as you go by the, is it called the reflection pool? It's on the west side of that. So every year after that, we planted a tree at the Pentagon, and that's where we had one of our very close friends who was planting Dadi Prakashmani tree. And I'll tell you a story about that. I used to go to the Pentagon a lot, and I would just walk in, and you know, the soldier would be, oh look, the angel has arrived, and I'll be on duty, sir. You know, and I used to love to just go by the tree. Anyway, there wasn't a sign placed there yet, and there were a few soldiers standing there, and they were telling me, you know, this is the peace tree. And I went, I had no idea. Next. Thereafter, we did an initiative where we asked majority of the countries in the nation's capital to give us, what is your core value that you hold in your country? And how do you bring that value to the nation? So we collected those values from around the embassies and different cultural backgrounds, and we got so many values, and we put the values up, and the artwork that you're seeing there was donated by International Child Art Foundation, in which children designed the artwork that would support those value systems, and those were up for quite a while. Remember Me came shortly after, where there was so much of this anthrax, and remember the sniper shootings that was going on. There was just a need for Washington to somehow become a little bit more reflective and silent. And so an artist from India, who's actually Australian, designed this piece, which is called the 3 Levels of Consciousness, where on the earth is where we perform our karmas, our actions, and where you see that white light is an area where we have visions or experiences of light. And then the world of light, or the world of peace, the orange area, is called the home for all souls. So the image of Remember Me was basically a very quiet artistic piece that says, all I ask for you is just to remember me. The Tree of Blessing continued after that, where we would turn to the 6 continents around the world, asking people to send in their blessings and their good wishes to the nation. Again, for the last 10 years, if you look at the theme of just the country in itself, but also our nation, there's been one real travesty after another. It's been a very rough 10 years in our culture, and I'm very surprised that we're actually still alive in terms of just emotionally continuing, because very few countries can keep going through what we've been going through, so the resilience, or either just not paying attention to it, is enormous. And so the tree of blessing, collective blessings from all around the world, beautiful sayings that would come from everywhere, like, this is, you know, wishing America good wishes, pure feelings, your loving smile eases the hearts and minds of all that you need. And they just flowed in from everywhere. And that was the blessing tree on the Capitol ground. And those are some of our little angels that are all happy waving at you. You want to, hi, yeah, wave, yeah, all right, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it's not. All right, so now, one of our really wonderful programs was when we had gone to war in Iraq, and there was a lot of devastation, and one of the challenging things about the country is that we didn't really know how to clean up a lot of the mess or to help sustain it. So we initiated Kites for Peace, which basically asked family and children here to purchase these kites, paint them, fly them, and can you donate those kites to children in war-torn countries? It went to Iraq, it went to Niger, we went to the Congos, we went to Georgia. When Putin had just gone in to take over Georgia, we worked with IDF, and it was by, I don't know, sheer miracle that the executive director was actually going to Georgia, and he took the kites personally in his hand luggage. And one of the places that he found in Georgia was an orphanage of the children who were affected by that war, and majority of those children were handicapped and in wheelchairs. And he had tears in his eyes when he said the children held those kites, and the assistants and the workers were pushing their wheelchairs, and the joy on his face, we had to send another load of kites over there. So it really shifted just the memory of war and made them realize the beauty of just being alive again. So Kites for Peace kept going on, and we did it in Kauai, where we also assisted with the tsunami in Japan and so on. And these are some kids of the Japanese thing at the UN, where we participated in the United Nations International Peace Day, where the Children for Japan wanted to support what happened at the tsunami in Japan at the time. Dance for Peace, this was fun, especially for Sister Gita, because you all know how she loves to dance, because all she does is dance. So Dancing for Peace was really to go into communities and ask children to choreograph a dance that would actually generate the atmosphere of peace. Because dancing is a big thing all the time. And you know, kids do some serious dancing. You ever seen some of those dances? Okay, sometimes I have to close my eyes, you know, because I don't want memories to come back. So I close my eyes. But anyway, the kids did a wonderful job, and we worked with one of my dear friends at the School of Classical Ballet with Abigail Francisco, and they performed beautiful dance pieces where we actually had the Capitol available for us that day to do incredible performances. Went on for about 3 hours on the mall, and we got the flavor of just the variety of individuals who came out to perform their Dance for Peace. So we culminated for 10 years of activities, the Good Vibes Peace Festival that took place right here in the parking lot, and we culminated all the events and had a wonderful, wonderful time. And Good Vibes Peace Festival had henna, face painting. We've done Just a Minute of Peace that helps individuals to transform the world, where we ask people to take just a minute out of the day and reflect on what was important. So every year we kept doing something. I don't know if you recognize that lady that was sitting there, Mrs. Annette Lantos, one of the survivors of the Holocaust, with her and her husband, former Congressman Tom Lantos. And she's been a very big supporter of meditation and spirituality, which she feels she wants to make a human rights agenda. That's this piece that was sculpted, was commissioned by Clara Sever, and we've got the original right here. And in 2012, we launched America Meditating, which we really wanted to invite America to have ownership of spirituality, because 80% of the media comes out of this country, and it shapes the way the rest of the world thinks. And we know that if America can begin to convey spirituality, meditation, and let it come from here, we can definitely help the world to rejuvenate its spirit. So America Meditating is America's project, and it's really creating a lot of momentum. We had wonderful speakers at the Montgomery Cultural Center here. And we now have the America Meditating radio show, which is doing incredibly well, to my surprise, because it really wasn't intended to. It was really supposed to be just a little show that we just wanted to do, you know, and then now it's become something quite big, and it's now also on iHeartRadio. So if you'd like to download it. By the way, does everyone have their smartphone? Is it silenced? Okay, shaky. All right, so we're going to move on, right? So we have the America Meditating Radio Show, and from the America Meditating Radio Show emerged the Pause for Peace plaques. And please get your Pause for Peace plaques before you leave, where you create spaces in your workplace, at home, or in your community, where you put up these plaques and declare it a place that you want to pause for peace. As you can see, we've had individuals from all walks of life that now hold a Pause for Peace plaque within their areas. You know Dick Gregory, you know Alice Walker. It's in the offices of members of Congress. It is with movie stars, actors, youth, restaurants. And the bombing that took place in Boston, we were very much inspired to do a meditation marathon for 2013, because we really wanted to start to heal the country from that and become a little bit more reflective. And here we are. Look at that. Oh. This is what America Meditating does. Out of this whole project has come this RV, in which we are collaborating with House of International Media, in which they're producing a new television series called Soul Power. And Soul Power is traveling around the country. Soul Search is traveling around the country, focusing on spiritual groups to try to understand what it is that they're searching for. So that big old truck is driven by that little old woman in the back. Megan. Who is going to be leaving us for a tour tomorrow. So we wish her well. And actually, it was the America Meditating initiative that inspired Megan to say, I'm in. I've got to do something for my country. Next. And is that it?
Here.
And here we are. Karma Cafe. Yay. I was in India on the mountaintop. Generally, we have a group meeting about the projects. This is the first one in which I was actually in solitude in India, writing away what I thought would be a good initiative for 2014. And thus emerged was a need for us to start to engage communities in important questions. Questions that could help us to find answers in our own lives. So here came Karma Conversation as the 14th initiative for the Dadi Prakashmani Day, and I'd like to introduce that to you right now. And thank you very much.
Yes.
It's been a wonderful journey, and it's been a journey of love. There's no doubt in my mind. We don't do this for 14 years. One person can make a positive impact in your life, and you're never alone when you walk into a room, when you walk into a space, when you walk into a project. You've got the love of God, you've got the love of people, and the wisdom of folks who have shared something that have elevated you, walking with you in that space. And I think that is so important for us to understand that we are never really alone. And that we show up with the wisdom of elders, and we show up with the wisdom of people who have made a very positive impact in our lives. And so it's good karma to walk in a room with the blessings of many on your head. Right? So here's where Karma Conversation starts. I'd like to thank Nikhil and Vishal again. And here's where it starts. On your table is a little card. I think it just says Karma Cafe, right? And on the back of that card is a question. Does everyone have the question on their table? It's not that everyone needs a card. You're going to be able to share that card amongst yourselves to look at that question, okay? So Karma Cafe now will basically, anyone needs some extra coffee, please let all of our little angels know, we'll bring it to you. Just raise your hands who would like extra coffee and cupcake. I want you now to feel comfortable. Imagine you're now in your little cafe and you're at a table and there are questions that are being raised for you, okay? On each of your tables should be 1 or 2 questions. And we would like to invite your table to converse within the line of those questions that are on your table. You can take 1, you can take 2 of them, and there's 1 law. 2. No, 3. No. There's 1. We would like to request that you honor the person's sharing. Remember, you're here to share. You're not telling someone something. You're here to share what your interpretation is of this question in your life, what it means to you. So there's no need for you to try to prove anything to anyone at your table. The second thing, we're going to ask that you speak a little softly, only because the room is tight, and we would really love to maintain that spiritual fragrance in the atmosphere. And when you're done with your questions and your answers, a little bell's going to go off, and we're going to ask you to change tables and go to another table. And there are other questions. And then you're going to take another 10 minutes with those questions, right? And then 1 more chime, and you're going to change tables again. If you happen to bump into the same questions, just find a table where the question is different. When we're done, we're going to get back together and share our realizations. Okay, and we're also going to actually bring the camera to hear the conversation more than anything else, because we want to put together a little 30-second sizzle. Karma Cafe's intention is to go around to different coffee shops around the nation and engage our citizens in these questions to try to find answers for our lives so that we can make our lives much better than they are currently. So enjoy your conversation, everyone. Thank you so much.
community, and I think just by extending compassion and taking the time to just listen to the other person, this is something that I feel that is just part of what I do and try to always be doing, as just being there for the other person and not just saying but try to lift the spirit of the other person. How do you deal with a challenging relationship? I'm still learning that. And 3, what is the difference between destiny and free will? I think that it depends on what your faith is.
Holographic universe, there's many forms of fashion, like meditation, with nature, with my inner voice, my inner spirit, with other folks, with different philosophies, studies that I partake in. Well, connection. In connection with that is to keep humble. My humility. You know, I can't be walking around, well, I know this and I know that, and you should do this and you should do that. And there's no room for that, you know. Because it's like namaste, I realize everyone's on their path. And that's where they're supposed to be at this point in time. And so I recognize that and honor that. And everyone, and indeed in the whole universe. You know, because we are on Mother Earth. She's a living, breathing thing, just as we are. We're a microcosm of Mother Earth. And we're on this great spaceship hurtling through space. And now undergoing the ascension process, which is very exciting. So I'm along for the ride, and I'm one of the crew members, and doing my best, you know.
And you're powerful.
And I'm powerful.
For me, it's my values and also my faith. Because I realize that we are capable, as a human, we are capable to do so many things. But there are certain things that we feel powerless. And without this higher, source, higher divinity, spiritual father, mother, we cannot do anything. So that's what keeps me grounded. It keeps me going. I've been through a horrible experience recently with the diagnosis of mentioning, but I'm going through it. And I feel stronger and stronger every day. And it's not because of me, it's because of something else that I cannot explain it, but it's there. As simple as that.
I guess I would say love, because with love you have the right intent for your actions and your deeds, and you can use power most effectively when it comes from a good place. So your power comes from people wanting to emulate you, not a place of
I was actually accepting him the way he was, actually. And I was sending good wishes that you are a peaceful, loving soul. Maybe you are under pressure right now. You won't believe when he left for office, he said, I'm sorry and I love you. Otherwise, the things would have been, he would be grieving all day in his office, struggling with this, whatever happened in the home, and I would be upset the whole day. It was so simple. Just accept him the way he is. Maybe he's having some problems. Nobody wants to be mad. Nobody wants to be angry. Everybody wants to be loving. So something is affecting, right? It's better just to accept him. And help them be a better, loving person. And it worked like a magic. I was surprised that he said, I'm sorry. And he said, I love you. And he left. Everything was so peaceful So just one thought, right? I just accepted it. It changed everything. So it's who you are. You have to. You cannot force anybody to change. You can influence.
Did he change?
Yeah, I think that's just because I have faith. I know he will change. Again, this is a thought I created in my mind that he will change.
Well, there's a difference between accepting something and liking it.
We're all reflections of one another, so it's gosh to remember that, and find it even when it seems really hard. Oh, that can't be me. Yeah, somewhere in there. Keep looking. So that's my challenge.
A couple of years ago, I went to a retreat, and at the end of the retreat, the facilitator asked us to answer one question: what is the one thing that you know to be true? So my answer to that was, what I know to be true is that love can heal and solves everything. And that was August, and I was actually in health crisis. I was in a health crisis. And by September, I had an experience where I received unconditional love. Just receive it. And I realized that love is not enough. It needs to be unconditional love. So now I need to remind myself that not only can I receive unconditional love, I can also give unconditional love. So unconditional love is what mattered the most to me.
I think we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah, we did a lot of that before you came. But
now we want to know
we
you.
didn't get to
Yeah, we do it again.
I am Monica Bradley, but I'm a spoken word artist and writer, and I'm also part of the National Action Network for Civil Rights. And my pseudonym is Bradley Winter. I'm working on my first children's book series. And I'm in grad school with my master's in human resource management.
We didn't get to meet you.
Hi everybody, I'm Latifa Johnson, and I just happened to run across this event tonight, and so I've been here before, and before, doing meditation, trying so hard to get connected, and so I ran across this event, and I was like, I haven't been here in a while, so I wanted to come back and to an event, and just change my routine today, so I'm happy to be here and meet all of you.
Well, we introduce ourselves, and I'm Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, my name is John Schoenig. I actually live just around the corner from here, so it's very convenient. There's stuff going on here, and just around the corner, and I try to make as many as I can depending on my schedule. I guess you could say I'm somebody who tries to search for, I guess you could say I search for more than what's out there. Meaning that I guess you could say I'm like a lot of you, I get up in the morning, I put on my clothes, eat breakfast, I go to work. Some days at work are better than others. Come home, relax with my partner, eat dinner, go our routines. But I feel like there's more out there than what just happens in a given day. And I guess you could say I'm searching for, I guess, how to find more meaning in day-to-day life, how to find more satisfaction, etc.
I'm Pete. And Jesse and I live just about 2 miles from here, so we're pretty close too. Lived in Silver Spring most of our lives. I worked downtown. I started life as a musician, and then I moved into, through a bunch of different things, to teaching people software, helping them. And Jesse's a teacher too.
I'm Malaika. I actually moved from Silver Spring to Durham, North Carolina, almost a year ago. And never came here when I lived here.
Are you
I'm over now. Yeah, I love it. Love it here.
I'm proud. Back to him.
Nice chatting.
Table. Okay, with different questions. You may switch to this one.
Sorry?
You're welcome to go. As individuals, I guess, we're supposed to go somewhere so that we're not in the same.
Okay, well, I'll stop right here.